Hey everyone, welcome. Jen O'Sullivan here, and we are going to be discussing eczema, specifically chronic skin rashes. Psoriasis is a little bit different. That's an autoimmune issue, and usually if you were to try to figure out maybe which one it is that you have, because both of them can be chronic, eczema can kind of come and go, and psoriasis can just be a pain. They're both a pain, let's just be real. So you've got things like, if we just look at eczema, you're looking at parts of your body that tend to kind of hold moisture. So like areas that bend, like the inner elbows, right behind your knees, that kind of flesh that tends to flare up. Sometimes your neck and ankles and things like that, where moisture, if you have socks and stuff. Psoriasis is kind of the opposite side. It would be like your knees and your elbows as opposed to the inner knees and elbows. But psoriasis can often get cranky and get on people's faces and their scalp, lower back, that kind of stuff. So they tend to look a little bit different too. So it is very important that if you have some sort of chronic skin condition, that you go ahead and talk with your doctor to see, what it is. Eczema can be very itchy, and also has this kind of, if you don't have moisture on your skin, it gets too dry. If you do, like if you're sweating, then it will kind of get too dry real quick. So you sort of need to have this barrier on all the time. And you can get so itchy with eczema that you can cause your skin to break and bleed, and that's never fun. But if you're dealing with psoriasis, it's usually like your skin sensation is like burning or stinging, less itchy. It can be itchy with psoriasis, but it's more kind of like burning sensation. So some people have described psoriasis like you've just gotten bit by a bunch of fire ants. So that's like not fun. So they are different. And many times people, it is just eczema. Okay, so just eczema is a weird way to put things because it's awful. And if you have it, what I would like to start with is to give you the things you really do need to consider. And I was speaking with a friend recently about this, and he said, I just wish there was something that could cure it. And I'm like, well, there is. But he's like, well, like something easy. It's like everybody wants the magic pill. And if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that it's lifestyle changes. And what I'm going to do today is help you determine really 3 to 4 key factors that could be why you're having eczema flare-ups. Specifically right now, right? Some of you are maybe experiencing them right now. It's the holiday season. And so, all right, so I'll kind of start from backwards to the number one. So if we're talking about just what you can do to figure stuff out. Now, we're not talking about lotions today. So let's be clear on that, because lotions is like useless. It's not useless in the sense that it's okay to put it on there, but you're never going to get rid of it then. You're going to always be having the issue. So think of it this way. Let's say you have a tree in your backyard and it is supposed to be bearing fruit and it's not. It's supposed to have shiny leaves, but the leaves are all dull and look really dry and gross. Well, you could water it more. You could hose it off every day and make the leaves look wet. You could even take some fake spray, right? That plant leaf shine. You could even go so far as to buy some fruit and tape it on the tree. I mean, huh? Right? What in the world? We know that if there's something going on with the tree on the outside, we have to look at what's going on in the soil. We have to go and see if maybe it's root bound, maybe something's blocking it, maybe something from your neighbor's yard is coming in and infiltrating it. I had that issue where I was digging up a whole bed of area to be able to plant some stuff, and I realized my neighbor's tree was growing into our garden underneath the fence there, and it was taken over. Their tree was blooming and beautiful and tons of lemons, and our stuff kept dying. It's because that tree was bigger and it was stealing all the nutrients and all the water and everything. So I had to kind of like cut those roots down a little bit. And probably every year I'm going to have to get those roots from like stealing from our soil. So it is what it is, but you got to find the problem at the root. So when you take a lotion and put it on, you're shining the leaves, but not addressing the root. So if you can have an open mind today on this short video and think, how can I maybe do one thing she's asking me to do? Just one. Okay, I'm gonna tell you several things, but probably the easiest thing to do, which you might disagree with me on this, but one of the easiest things to do to kind of see what's going on are triggers in your environment. So for instance, do you burn candles? Do you have fragranced laundry detergent? You know, like if you can smell your clothing, you're using fragranced laundry detergent. Are you using dryer sheets that have fragrance in them? Many synthetics are in our cleaning supplies, like all of the sprays and things that you're using. If they have some sort of fragrance that is synthetic, it's going to potentially be causing problems with your skin. So there's a systemic or root system issue with the overload of synthetics. So let's say you lived on a prairie, on a farm, and had only natural things, and every once in a while you sprayed your Windex, you're probably not going to see huge problems. The problem comes into play when we've got our scented candles and our laundry detergent, our dryer sheets, and they all have crazy fragrances because we want it to smell like spring breeze. And then we use the the spray for the air and the room fresheners, and we've got the plugins going, and we've got literally like all of our personal care products is like you're a walking bomb of synthetics. So, think of that through. Just think personal care products, that's your lotions and potions and sprays and things for your body, which if you have eczema or psoriasis, you must go natural. You must look at every single ingredient and get rid of all the synthetics. The number one problem is you can go like 95% synthetic free and still have that synthetic fragrance element in there, which will continue to bother your skin. And I know because it has happened to me. I have had to go completely fragrance free. I can use essential oils because I know they're from nature, but I'm talking about like anything that has any scent in it. My mom bought some really expensive Gucci cologne for my nephew. And I guess my sister had bought him the same thing. And she said, "Hey, do you want me to give that to Jacob?" And I was like, absolutely not. We don't allow any of that stuff into the house because I get massive headaches and it will affect your skin as well. So just know synthetics, but also the last thing to usually go with people, meaning they don't realize it's something that's a trigger, is the fragrance. So synthetic fragrance is a big problem for people with eczema. So you're getting rid of all of that. So you could look for things fragrance free. Again, if you were using Young Living, all of the Young Living products are natural. So it's not like you're getting fragrance. And what I mean by fragrance, and this is an interesting side note, is fragrance is synthetic. Okay. However, if you go on the FDA website, and there's this kind of funny thing that floats around that there's some percentage of 1 to 5%. Like if a company labels their product as, I remember at one point Glade plugins said, now with essential oils. Okay. That meant now with synthetic fragrance. Okay. They can use the term essential oils as a marketing tactic and have 0.000% essential oils, not even a drop of pure essential oil is in there, because the FDA defines the term essential oil as fragrance. So this whole thing of people saying it has to be 5% is wrong. It has to be 0%. It can be 0% for something to be labeled as essential oil. So that's frustrating for us. I know Young Living is 100% essential oil, pure from the plant, not adulterated. So not fractionally distilled, not rectified, not modified in any way. I want that. Okay. So when I say fragrance free, we're talking synthetic fragrance free. Okay, so after that side note, if that's hard for you, think in stages. So the next shampoo you buy, get something that has no synthetics in it. The next, honestly, if you are itchy and a mess, get rid of it all. Just donate it or throw it away. And the sad reality is on your synthetic products, cleaning products, laundry detergents, all of that, you can't actually throw them away because they would be considered toxic landfill. So think about that for just a second. Okay. So why would you want any of that in your house? All right. So try to limit or eliminate if you can. And this is a good time of year to do that, to just go through the house and say, okay, I'm done with all of this stuff. I need to get rid of the synthetics in my home, in my environment, everywhere. Just look for that, because that would be like step one, probably the easiest step. And why it's the easiest step is because it's an actionable item that you do once, and then you just buy the new stuff and you start swapping things out. So like I said, Young Living has an excellent swap. So many products that are just swapped. I think like if we had razors, I'd be good to go. Okay, shaving razors, right? All right, here we go. The harder things would be eliminating food. So the second thing would be what you're eating. And this has a couple different levels to it. So trigger foods for eczema would be, biggest one would be dairy, okay? Next around would be probably gluten, sugar, that kind of thing. So gluten, sugar, alcohol. So if you were wanting to try this, and this is where I'm going to challenge you, you got to find your trigger. And it could be casein that's found in dairy. It could be gluten that's found in all the wheat products. It could be sugar, processed sugar. You got to find what triggers your itchiness, your eczema, your dry skin that is just awful. So I would encourage you to do a 30-day moratorium on one thing. Make it easy on yourself. Don't cut it all at once. Just do one thing, because you need to be able to track what's going on. So I would start with dairy first if I were just to tell you the one thing I would start with. And it's tough. Any of these are tough, by the way, because it's in everything. Dairy's in everything, a lot of things. Like, you really have to look for it. So think that through. It's all of your yogurts and ice creams and milks and dairy creams, anything that has dairy in it whatsoever, you're cutting for 30 days. So no creamers, like nothing. Okay. Cheese, just really go a month without cheese. Casein, and some of you with the cheese thing, you're kind of like, how can I do that? Cheese is loaded with casein, which is why it is so addictive. Did you know that? Cheese is addictive, highly addictive. And many of you will have a hard time with that one because it's very addictive, and you want your cheese sticks, or you want your pizza, or you want whatever it is that has cheese on it. So just see if you can find something non-dairy that would replace it. For me, there really isn't. Once you go dairy free and figure out that if that was the trigger, you can usually introduce 10% back in. So for me, I just have cheese, dairy type of things like every once in a while, like on pizza, really. It's a gluten-free pizza that I have every once in a while. Okay, so that would be the first one I would think to try if I were going to tell you where to start. The other hard one is gluten. And gluten might be a trigger for you, and that's all wheat products. So you're just looking for gluten-free everything. And just know gluten is in a lot of things. You have to be diligent. In sauces like soy sauce, a lot of ranch dressings often have it in there. You have to ask. You have to say, is it gluten-free? So you can't just go gluten-free light where you're just like, I'm not eating bread. You gotta cold turkey. Same thing with the dairy. If you choose dairy or you choose gluten as your first one, you gotta look for it everywhere and ask and read labels and check. The labels on packaged foods will say contains, and it will say milk or soy or gluten. It'll actually tell wheat, it'll say. So pay attention to the labels if you're going to do one of these moratoriums. I call them food moratoriums, where you're just taking a holiday from dairy or gluten. Okay, the processed sugar thing also could be a potential trigger. So that would mean no alcohol, no processed sugar. You will get sugar in your things that you eat anyways. It's in pretty much all normal natural foods, natural glucose, and that's fine. But you want to try to eliminate processed sugar to as much as possible, if not zero. And again, I'm saying processed sugar. So if you needed to be at around 25 grams a day of processed sugar, you could possibly get away with that. But again, normally on a 30-day moratorium, you cut it all out. And then after the 30 days, you introduce it again. But don't do all three. You got to kind of pick one, do it for 30 days and stick with it, and then reintroduce. And when you reintroduce, you're able to see like, oh, that actually was the trigger, because now I'm super, like I'm having flare-ups and it's crazy. So do that, consider that. Okay, that's probably the second thing that you should consider doing. So first one was get rid of any synthetics in your home. Second, food moratoriums. The number one most important thing that is mostly why people have this, and I'm talking about lifelong have eczema, is some sort of your body doesn't manage stress well. Your body somehow is, and try to think through that, right? Think through, when did I start having this? Was there a season in my life, or did something happen, like a divorce or a loss of someone in your life, or a move, something stressful? Did something stressful happen that kind of triggered your body to go into this kind of reactionary mode? And the thing is, then it kind of makes everything cattywampus, right? It kind of like puts everything on its head. So where before you might not have had any issues with, say, dairy, the stress, any stress response mixed with the dairy makes it like explosive. So it's a very interesting thing that stress, when we talk about any random weird rashes or weird eczema that starts kind of chronically coming up, but it kind of moves around your body and you're like, I'm not sure what's going on here, or an actual dermatitis that is like, it's chronic and it's in the same spot, oftentimes it's stress related. It's like some 85% of all of the rashes we experience are stress related, which that's a really strange figure to me. But I would even go higher than that. And what I mean by that is, as I start digging into people's lives that are dealing with rashes and we start talking about their lifestyle, there's other elements, but really it's like these people are stressed and anxious. So think it through. Have you been experiencing, or does your body not respond to stress well? And what I mean by that is, are you typically an anxious person? And I don't know, I know a lot of you personally, but I'm not speaking to any one person personally. What I'm saying is, if you're looking at other medications you might be taking, are you taking depression medications, anxiety medications, and are you dealing with eczema? It's just a question, right? And it's an interesting thing to consider. Okay, maybe you're not on depression or anxiety meds, but are you chronically freaked out all the time? Are you worried? Are you a worrier? And I would bet 95% of you who have eczema are a worrier, not a warrior. We want to become a warrior, but a worrier. Are you like worried all the time about life and things that are going on? And you might be one of those closet worriers. And what I mean by that is, whenever I work with women, and I know there's some men in this group, but women particularly, we're really good at being the happiest person. Usually when I have a group of women and we're talking, the ones that are the happiest ones, the ones that everybody loves and gravitates to, the ones that are just people like them, are the ones that internally have the most turmoil going on. They're the ones that are just want to curl up in a ball, and internally they're having a difficult time. And so it's just one of those things where most people don't guess that, and they think, oh no, she's the most happy person. If I think of joy, I think of so and so. And then it's like, we'll go to so and so, and I bet her inner world is very tumultuous, like very much going on of just thoughts and worrying about this and that and anxious things. All of that is where I would highly encourage you to figure out how you can manage that. From a Christian perspective, For me, it's all about, you know what? God's bigger than my problems for sure. And I have to let things go. And I have to stop trying to control everything and be patient, right? There's all these fruits of the spirit that, we're all working on. We're working on it and God's working on us. So I just encourage you to bring it to God, lay it down. There's a couple books that are great on this subject, but just take some time alone every day. And that's something that I always encourage, when you're dealing with stress is go on a walk, do something for yourself. We call it white space. So if you got your calendar, make sure at least once a week, there's like a day or two that is white space on your calendar. There's nothing on it. And that will help you not feel so like on a rat wheel, right? We don't want to be on that just constant hamster wheel of life. We got to take a break and take a breather. Tomorrow's my son's birthday, and I told him, you know what, I'm not going to do a stitch of work tomorrow. I'm just going to hang out with you guys and just relax. And it's like sometimes we need to do that. You need to decompress. If you're dealing with eczema, though, that's got to be something daily. You've got to insert something into your life daily, usually in the morning and then maybe a little bit in the afternoon, where you can decompress, where you can spend some time doing like a mind dump, where you just get a journal and for me, I pray, you write it out, just whatever's on your mind, just get it out. Planning things out so that you kind of feel like you have some semblance of control. But then just kind of take a list. I think sometimes the stress of life, it's nice to have a list with check boxes. And, I oftentimes will do things and go, oh, I did that. I'm going to put it on the list and make a checkbox. Because then I feel like I did something and I'm like, okay, I accomplished something. And I don't feel so stressed out. So there's a lot of different stress management tools out there. I just encourage you to research it. But stress is the number one issue. Okay, so let me just go into a couple things about essential oils and a couple things about supplements. Essential oils, I highly discourage using. I know that seems crazy, right? Because like I'm the oil lady here, but you can use certain essential oils. However, if you find out that your eczema is stress induced, meaning it tends to flare up when you have the day before, maybe you were super stressed out and then the next day you have this flare up. So start tracking it, track stress against flare ups. And against, I know some of you guys, it's like, I just get out of the shower and it's just there and it's constant. And yes, I'm just saying, I want you to track how you're dealing with your stress. But essential oils on stress hormone, on skin, can cause it to feel worse sometimes. So usually very small amounts, like 10% or less essential oil to carrier oil. And you want to consider specific oils. You can't use all different kinds of oils. It has to be specific. So I want to give you a few that I think would be the best ones that I know to be the top oils for this, and then some secondary ones that you may not have considered. But lavender and frankincense are at the top of the list. Again, just like maybe 1 drop of frankincense to 10 drops of, say, jojoba oil. You want to find a raw, cold pressed organic carrier oil. Stop using all those creams that have tons of synthetics in them. I know some of you are on these kind of crazy different creams that claim all these things, or you're getting steroids and stuff like that. All of that stuff will continue to just, again, you're like shining the leaves of a tree that's rotting. We want to be very cautious about that because there are synthetics in all of those lotions that you're using. Check the back, check the ingredients. Okay, so getting just a raw organic carrier oil, very good to do. Black seed oil, coconut oil even, so check for whatever allergens you have, but I like jojoba oil specifically because it's technically a wax, even though it's totally liquid, because it doesn't stain my clothes. So if I get it on my clothes, because I'm a kind of a mess sometimes, it washes out no problem, especially like the bed. I don't know how many of you guys have bed sheets. Ours, the one side, my side, we put the bed sheets on always on the same side. And it's just this big, huge, oily person because I use a lot of the CBD rub at night and that stuff just stains my bed sheets. So it is what it is, but I'm going to use it. Okay, so lavender, frankincense, helichrysum. Helichrysum is a very, very good oil. But again, a 10 to 90% ratio, just 10% essential oil to 90% like jojoba oil. Tea tree is a little harsher, so I would say you could try it because some of your issues with the eczema are just keeping the keeping it so that it doesn't get like bacteria trapped in there. So that's just helpful there. Copaiba is a really good one too, calming, but also good for keeping all of the skin cells not puffed up, right? It kind of keeps them nice and tight. So that would be a high recommendation. Cedar wood would be another one. Sandalwood, either one, sacred sandalwood or royal Hawaiian sandalwood. Patchouli is another one. Peppermint is on our primary list only because it helps to cool the skin, but you've got to really use a lot of carrier oil because again, it could exacerbate it. So just be cautious and consider how you would use that. There are some secondary oils, like I said, that you might consider. So I'm just going to rattle through them, but think about these. So juniper, geranium, hyssop, thyme, bergamot, Roman chamomile, and neroli. Those are really good secondary oils to try. So if you wanted to come up with your own fragrance for things, you can. And that, just kind of think about maybe some bergamot, like maybe 5 or 6 drops of bergamot with 2 drops of thyme, and maybe like a couple drops of lavender, a couple drops of frankincense, and put about 10 drops of copaiba in there. That would make for like a really delightful smell. So think about that. Like if you wanted the real florally scent, you could do 1 drop of geranium, even 1 drop of juniper. Those are really strong oils, but kind of make your own signature aroma there. Okay, those are essential oils. When it comes to supplements, again, we have some primary ones that are really good and some secondary ones. So gut health is really important when it comes to any skin issue. So again, remember the roots of a tree and the soil, we want to look at our gut. So I personally recommend KidSense Mighty Pro. It is the KidSense line. I've taught about this before, and some of you get really confused because you think, oh, it's for kids. Why am I using that? You just need a single dose. You don't need to double up, and it is phenomenal. So I love Life 9, but let's be real. I forget at night before I go to bed, or I'm taking something else, or I just forget. I'm already upstairs, or because it has to be in the refrigerator. You can't take it with oils. You can't take it with certain other supplements. So you have to be really cautious about not messing up Life 9, whereas KidSense Mighty Pro, you cannot mess up. And it has an advanced delivery method so that it will get into your gut better, so more effectively. So I'm a big fan of the KidSense Mighty Pro. I would go with that over Life 9. If you love your Life 9 and have gotten on a good routine with it, then stick with Life 9. I put that in the secondary supplements because I think that KidSense Mighty Pro, people that have eczema have a hard time as it is with all the things that they're trying to, everything just is annoying. So I would encourage you to just do KidSense Mighty Pro, and you do that in the morning with breakfast. Okay. Turmeric is a really great supplement. If I were to choose golden turmeric over Agiles, I'm gonna pick Agiles for anybody that has eczema. The reason for that is because of the collagen and the glucosamine. So those are very important elements. So I'm gonna pick Agiles for sure. Secondary would be golden turmeric. You can do both if you wanted to. Also consider super vitamin D, really good for your skin health. Having some sort of omega, so like omega J3 is excellent for that as well. Super C chewables specifically just help with antioxidant support. I feel like Super C chewables is excellent for the everyday because it's more bioavailable, whereas Super C tablets is good for like, I'm not feeling well and I need to take a bunch of it. Does that make sense? It's one of those things where that is isolated vitamin C at higher doses and it's buffered so it won't upset your stomach. But Super C chewable is the fruits that have been juiced and dried. So you're getting more bioavailable, nutritious vitamin C. Okay, so Super C chewables is helpful for your skin. I usually recommend taking it at night before bed because it helps with the regeneration process, but you can kind of chew on those all day long. Illuminize is our vitamin A supplement. So you want that vitamin A from lutein and zeaxanthin, and that is really great for your skin. So that's something to consider as well. If you're not on a supplement like that, definitely get on one. Illuminize is excellent. So those would be the supplement pack. So think about it this way. It's like collagen, turmeric, glucosamine, vegan D3 specifically, which is from lichen, okay? Omegas you want C, vitamin C that is from plant-based. You want vitamin A that is also from plant-based marigolds, okay? And you want a really good probiotic that has a prebiotic as well. So that's why Kids Sense Mighty Pro is in there. So those are 8 specific supplements. Young Living carries the most bioavailable ones on the market. So I highly encourage you to do that. And then if you want to get more, like let's say you thought, okay, that was very helpful, but I want to know, well, what would I do for stress? Because she mentioned stress as being the biggest thing. Well, you can actually go into mywellmap.com and take that test. Now, just to be clear, the MyWellMap test, the wellness mapping test, it's like almost too much information. I'm information overload queen. I love it. I love giving you guys as much content as possible. So the wellness map is no different. So you go in, you take your test, and then you look at your results, but look at the tabs. There's several tabs, and one of the tabs says answer details. That is going to be your best friend. That is going to be where you're going to be able to drop down, and let's say you chose eczema. You can see all of this lifestyle changes that I talked about. You'll see the supplements that I talked about. You'll see the essential oils that I talked about. And then let's say you answered that, yeah, you're dealing with stress as well. Stress and anxiety. You can click on that one. You can drop down and see that one. And that makes it so that then you can say, oh, okay, I need to consider this as well. So you can customize things based on what's the most important thing you need to work on, because those are specific protocols in and of themselves. It makes it really super simple, because then you can go ahead and say, well, I just want to do a month worth of the protocol that she's talking about for this. And you can dial that into a custom schedule, generate that custom schedule, print it out. And now you've got a month schedule of what you should be doing. And then next month you can come back to your test and go, okay, the stress one. What did she tell me to do for the stress one? Okay, I'm going to dial in those to the custom and hit generate and be good to go. So that content is always there once you take the test. So there's a free test, but you can take the main one, which is really inexpensive for the amount of content that you get. You'll be pleasantly surprised at how fun it is. So go over to mywellmap.com and check it out. So that's it for today. I hope that this has been helpful. I know some of you kind of want to like kill me right now because you're like, oh, dairy, gluten, sugar, what am I going to do? Just pick one and try to calm down. Try to de-stress. Take a nap in the daytime if you need to. Whatever it is that's going to help you kind of eliminate that stress. There are some really great lotions, honestly, if you want to, because that dry, cracked skin, you do need to. I'm going to end with this because this is kind of a side note, but one of our favorite things to use is the Animal Sense ointment. I know it's for our pets, but it's really, really good. We have the rose ointment, but the Animal Sense ointment is bigger and you can just slather it on. So you get out of the shower and you just scoop it, and you've got like, it's pretty thick, and it, so you don't have to use a whole lot. So when I say scoop it out, you just a little bit, and it really does do a good job. The other thing you might consider, on Amazon, you can get these really super soft microfiber towels that aren't gonna like grab your skin. You know how some microfiber towels, like you have your little flakiness from the eczema, will like grab it and it's kind of painful. We have those yellow microfiber towels that we use on the cars, and every once in a while I'm like, rocks, my fingers get really dry and cracked. I think that there's a couple online now that they're just super plush and soft microfiber towels that are helpful, so that they don't feel like rough on your skin. And then remember, just get rid of all your stuff in the home, and you can do a swap if you want to. If you are new to this group or new to me and you don't have someone helping me, I'm happy to help you kind of figure out what you might want to get started with Young Living. But if you're in here and somebody directed you to this and you have a friend, just go to them and say, okay, Jen was talking about a swap. What does that mean? So it's pretty fun to do kind of a transfer swap. It's like called transfer buying, where you're no longer buying the stuff that has all the synthetics, and you're looking for the stuff that has no synthetics. And that's transfer buying. So if that's something you want, let me know and I can help you out with that, or ask the person who sent you to this video. So I will leave with that. Just as a side note, we have very limited jewelry, but I do jewelry that has like diffuser jewelry. I know that's like such a super weird thing, but it's my de-stressor, right? So when I am stressed out, and this is something for some of you guys who maybe do have right brain, left brain, like some of you kind of go back and forth as well. I like to be creative. And if you like to be creative, that's getting in your right brain. That's an excellent way to de-stress. So I've been doing a lot of jewelry lately because in the morning I go downstairs, I have my little space and it's quiet and I just sit there and I work on jewelry. And it's beautiful. I love it. Meaning I love that time. And it allows me to kind of just focus in, and I'll either listen to praise and worship music, I'll listen to a sermon, or I will just pray for each of you as I'm doing it. Like whoever's ordered, I'm sitting there praying for each of you guys as I'm making your jewelry. So it's a really cool thing. And you can find that on Sophos Gems. It's SOFOGEMS.com. But limited stuff because I just sit there and hand make each one. And it might take a while to get to you because, again, I hand make each one. So, but we have limited numbers of things. All right, that's it. So mywellmap.com, super fun. And there's a free trial test that's really robust, so you'll enjoy that. But otherwise, I will see you on the next video. Take care, you guys. Bye.